good evening, warm welcome. Thank you for watching us today from any part of the world. I'm Nicolette Huszák, the creator of this interview series. The idea of the Inspirational Show was based on to introduce leaders, business owners who are heroes in a certain context, did remarkable actions, and who gave me inspiration and motivation last year. My hero and guest today is the former successful CCO of Budapest Airport for over a decade and industry leader on aviation matters, who is now on a self-imposed sabbatical for a few months. I would like to introduce you this very special person, Kam Jandu, and let him inspire you too. Hi Kam, thank you for accepting my invitation and being here today.
Of course, thank you, Nikki, for the opportunity. It's interesting because being on a break, I didn't expect to be engaged, but it's an honor to be part of this group that you invited. So I'm delighted.
2020 was an extraordinary year where we all had to face challenges during this period. What was inspiring you during the difficult 2020?
Yeah, I think it's important when you look back on anything in your life that you need to reflect on every part of it, whether it's the positives, the negatives, the learnings, and we'll talk about some of that during this interview, I'm sure. But in the context of this question, as a leader, I found myself trying to be in a position to try and inspire others. So it was, of course, necessary for me to inspire myself, but not just last year, but for the decade or more of being a leader at Budapest Airport, working with fantastic people like you and your colleagues. And I was always trying to stimulate and encourage debate and encourage people to feel empowered and feel inspired to do their jobs the best as they can. And that had to step up a level for last year. So having developed a strategy in my own mind in terms of how to keep inspiring my people, I needed to make sure that I had some of that for myself as well. But I think the mainstay of what motivated me and inspired me, what I have done for about 15, 20 years, and you'll be familiar with this, when I wake up, I try and boost myself, of course, by running 4 or 5 times per week, because I find that the release that gives you is incredible. That feeling of euphoria, that feeling of passion, and yes, I'm ready for another day. As problematic as the day or the week or the month or the year feels, it always seems better once you've done some exercise. And whether that's the running that I continued or the yoga that I picked up in the course of last year, and I did, I'm motivating myself by looking at everything around me, reading books, continuing the good things that I did, which was exercise based, and reading good quotes from time to time, on Instagram, particularly from India, some good quotes that just remind you just how insignificant we are from a universal perspective, but equally how important we are, and keeps things into perspective. So I motivate myself with people who are good for me, around me in my circle, and also energize myself through the exercise and the reading, as an example.
As a leader professionally, how have you changed, if there's change privately or personally? How you feel it?
I think one standout thing that I think I changed with last year, and people who know me, and you know me reasonably well, others too in Budapest Airport, but also outside the industry and across the network. I think I built enough of a career successfully with a great team and delivered success from a unified perspective that I'd never professed to doing anything on my own. But so it's not generally driven by a leader, but I was a leader, that was my role. But it's important that whether you're a regular worker, a manager, a developing manager, an aspiring manager, or a leader, that you make the changes that are needed to enhance who you are. And also, if it enhances the opinions of others about you, then do it. So what I did during the course of last year, simply driven by frustration sometimes, when things were getting on top of me or people were feeling frustrated and I didn't have any answers, I'd write something, and I'd often write on LinkedIn, just something about a topic that may have come up, particularly a lot about the pandemic, and trying to instill confidence to everybody that it's going to pass and it will get better. So I started to do that on LinkedIn, and it started off, just as an occasional comment, but then I did it every month, and then I was so actively encouraged by the warm feedback and comments. It's about conveying a message that if it makes a small difference to someone's life positively, then that can only be good. Because I know for me, taking on that habit of writing something in a forum like that, which I've done in the past when we do press interviews, of course we do that, but this is something that was coming from my heart as much as my business acumen, to say I want to put this out there. And the internet, as we know, is a wide platform, but I was encouraged by the way that people responded, and that gave me the encouragement of a habit that I should change. I should write more. The single biggest change for me last year, and I will talk about it because it's everyone knows, I'm no longer with Budapest Airport. Well, I am technically on paper still, but I made the decision to leave, and that wasn't pandemic driven. I think you come to a point in your career where you've delivered as much as you possibly can. The second biggest decision, learning that I had for last year, was making the decision or realizing that it's time for me to leave. And the factors behind that were simply because I couldn't do it anymore. I delivered as much as I possibly can with the great team around me, and now it's time for me to step into the unknown, which for me is taking a break, and hopefully at some stage, whenever I'm ready, whenever business is recovering, whatever sector it may be in, to find myself at another organization where I can take my experience and my skills and start again, because I do enjoy starting again. I do like working with new people. I do like learning from new people, and not just teaching, but learning and creating that team ethos and improving results and outcomes. So that was the single biggest factor for me that changed me, is taking the courage to make a decision like that.
What would you mark as your biggest success in this period?
It's mutual respect for everyone who helped me in those last 3 months to say goodbye in the proper way. It was important. It was important. And one mantra I used to help me finalize my decision, which I've talked about already, and to make sure it's the right one, is that it's up to us to shape our own destinies and paths. And I've done that now. And instead of getting people blaming me, I had more people saying, you're doing the right thing. And they're very happy, and they're very proud of me, and they're satisfied with me. So people recognizing the reason for my decision, I think, was a biggest success. And I hope if people remain committed and focused and connected to me as they have done so far, it means that, we've all learned a lot from each other. So I'd say mutual respect is the single biggest success that we've had in this period.